how to choose a good iTalki teacher. Take 2, because I had already recorded this video and I literally got like 8 seconds from the end. I was saying like subscribe and like and that sort of stuff, and my battery went flat and didn't record any of it. So if I'm rambly in this one, it's because I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about, not because I haven't prepared it, because I've already freaking done the video. While we're on that topic, if you're new here, please subscribe. This channel is all about language learning. And if you're going to use iTalki, it'd be really, really awesome if you could use the code in the description that gives me $10 and you $10. And in case you're thinking, oh, I'll get a better code elsewhere, no, you won't. That's the only code iTalki ever give, is the $10 refer a friend code. It's just my refer a friend. It's not like I haven't contacted them about it or anything. Everyone gets that code. And if you use mine, I get $10 to spend on a teacher. Might not think it sounds like much, but most of the teachers I use actually cost less than that. So it is pretty good, and you, depending on what language you're learning, you can get at least one whole lesson out of it as well. So that would be cool. Brings me to the first point, cost. There are some teachers who are so cheap that you might feel a bit bad about using them. I sort of just use my spidey senses for this. If I feel like they're in a situation that that means they're sort of stuck there and it's a bit, almost a bit sweatshoppy, then I don't like to use it. But if it just seems like, you know, that you can earn $5 an hour in Haiti doing this, or not earn $5 an hour trying to catch fish or something, then if it seems like it's okay with the teacher, then, you know, if it seems like they're kind of in a situation that they're okay with doing that, then I don't mind doing it. But yeah, the ethics of how low the prices go on iTalki is something to keep in mind. I would like it if they would actually, sorry, I just have something in my eye and just blatantly scratch it in front of you. I would like it if iTalki would implement some kind of basically reward system for teachers who charge less, because iTalki charge 15% to their teachers, which is kind of high. They must be making quite a lot of money when you think about it. I would like it if they started that at like 4% for teachers who only charge $4 an hour in places like Haiti and you know, Namibia and things, and then basically charged a little bit more for every $1 more an hour that you charge, so that teachers like myself, for example, I think I charged $24 an hour at last check, you know, we're paying more of the iTalki funding. I know it's a little bit communist of me, but you know, it just would seem a bit fairer to me. Price is something to take into account. You can just filter by price these days. I don't see a need to spend a heap on a teacher. I also do think you get a little bit more if you spend just a little bit more on your teachers. If you're studying a language for whom there are heaps, for which there are heaps of teachers. If you're studying Icelandic, for example, very expensive teachers and not many of them. But if you want to have a lot of lessons, you're going to need a lot of money. That's just how it works. Even Swedish, Norwegian's quite bad as well. Swedish isn't too bad. Danish is not great either. And then the rare ones like Welsh and stuff, they're all majorly expensive. When you get to Spanish and French, there's like heaps, so they're not that expensive. Then there's the time thing. I don't like to use the time that, the time filter that iTalki has given us in the last 8 months or so. I don't think it's intelligent enough. I think, like, I want to be able to see within a certain range plus or minus a few hours, and I know I could set it to that, but it sort of depends on the teacher, and I'd rather just see all the teachers, to be honest, even in a language like French for whom there are, for which, why, okay, French is not a person, for which, okay, there are heaps of teachers. A language like French for which there are heaps of teachers, I'd still just rather see all the teachers within a given price range. And there's also country, so accent, you can take that into account. If you don't want a teacher who's from, say, let's pick on Paris, then, well, you can't sort it by city, actually, but you can sort it by country. So if you don't want a Quebecois teacher, then you don't choose Canada, basically. It feels super elitist when you're doing it. You're like, yeah, I don't like Quebecois, and I only want to pay this much. Show me the results, please. That's the world we live in today. Then we get to the actual person themselves. Obviously, you have to look for how much language they speak in the video, especially if they're a non-native. Now, that's another thing I did. I'm glad I remembered this time, actually. Non-natives are not necessarily the worst teachers. In fact, sometimes they're the best. I don't know why, but 2 really good French teachers, I'm not even going to give it away, in fact, because I don't want everyone booking up their times. No, I will. 2 good French teachers on there are from Serbia. It's weird. I don't know what's going on in Serbia that means they learn this really good French. But the thing that is good about it is they learn it to a high level themselves, but then they can explain it to you as a non-French native. Whereas French natives, often they're like, I don't know, it just kind of is like that. Now, this isn't always the case. Sometimes French natives are very good at explaining why it works that way in French, but not always. Whereas non-native teachers are often very, very good. So you can look for non-native teachers, but just make sure that they speak the language to a level that you're comfortable with in the video, because I've seen there's one guy on there who claims to speak like 8 languages, and judging by the level of his Swedish, I don't think any of them are true except for his native language, because he speaks like 4 words of Swedish, and I'm like, I didn't understand any of that. What language was that? Okay, so just make sure that they speak the language. Tips for iTalki with Lamont. Make sure they speak the language you're trying to learn. Okay, then I also look for professionalism in the video. To an extent, I don't need a full-scale Christopher Nolan production, okay? Some teachers almost go that far, but I just need to know that they've put enough effort into the video that they're then going to put effort into the lessons. Because if they're the sort of person who sort of like gets their mobile and they're like, hi, I'm a teacher on iTalki, please book lessons, thanks, bye, right? I'm not interested in having that person teach me, because they just how much professionalism are they going to bring with them to the lessons. So I look for just somewhat that I want to see that they've put a little bit of effort into the delivery, that the thing that everyone's going to see. If they're not even going to bother for that, then I doubt they're going to bother for something that only you're going to see. I also make sure that they don't have 4.8 or less out of 5. I know that sounds ridiculous, but if you look at the average teacher rating on iTalki, you'll see that 4.8 is actually quite low. 4.9 may have just been one student who didn't like them, but any less than that, and it means people have rated them low, and there's only bad teachers ever get rated low, and there's a reason for this. It's just a thing of when you have a lesson with a teacher and you feel good about talking to them and blah blah blah, they become like your friend, and it becomes very hard to rate them anything less than 5. Even I, who am aware of this happening, struggle to give a teacher anything less than a 4, unless I really didn't like how the lesson went and I thought that they really should have done more to, like, if their internet connection was bad or something, then and they were just like, nope, sorry, lesson's over. That's the only time that I give them, like, 1 or 2. Otherwise, if they were any kind of decent teacher and a nice person, then I just give them 5. That's why it's important that the person has 4.8, at least 4.8, if not 4.9 or 5, because you'll see basically everyone on there has 5. So 4.7 is like, what are you doing? You're doing something wrong. Then we have character in the video. So I just look for someone with whom I think I can get on. So, this is totally personal to you, but if they're there like, I will teach you French grammar, I am very knowledgeable about the French language, and I very much like the grammar, then I'm like, we're not going to find anything to talk about at all. But, if they're just being a cool person, then I'm fine to book a lesson with. So you'll actually be surprised by how few there are, even in a language like Spanish or French, once you start narrowing down on all these things. So like price and then time availability. I would prefer to look for a teacher whom I like and then hope to fit that time in than look for a time that I'm happy with and then just whatever teachers are left over in that time, especially when I live 10 hours in front of Europe. It's like you get some weird times going on. So that's why I don't really worry about time, because I fit the time around the teacher who I want to use, not the teacher around the time, if that makes sense. Professionalism in the video, just enough to know that they've put some effort in, and a cool personality, and someone who I can get on with. Oh, and lastly, package prices. So sometimes the price per lesson is quite a lot, but I'm looking at the teacher going, wow, this person seems really cool. I think they could teach me a lot. But individual lessons are a lot, and package prices are a lot cheaper. I like packages. You're going to get more than 5 times as much out of 5 lessons than you are out of 1 lesson. And sometimes they even have 10 lesson packages. I like the committing to that beforehand, because it feels like, you know, you can settle in with that teacher and you can develop a bit of a rhythm with them, and they can even set you homework knowing that you're going to have another lesson with them, because either you've already booked it or you've at least got the package in place. So I did this a lot with the 2 Serbian teachers that I mentioned, and I basically do it whenever I can. There's sort of this unspoken rule that you're not supposed to do it with new teachers. You shouldn't book a package with a teacher that you've never had a lesson with before. I still have, like, sometimes I'm just like, wow, that's a good price, and they seem really cool. And then I just message them and say, sorry to just book a package out of the blue, hope it's okay with you. I just think your profile looks cool and I'm hoping to learn this, so I hope it's okay. And I've never had a teacher go like, no, you can't book a package with me, right? So you just be a nice person on there. Don't be a tool about how you book lessons, and make somewhat sensible decisions about which teachers you choose, and you'll have a great time. Again, use the link in the description for $10. When you make your first purchase on iTalki, you get $10 extra. It's not $10 off, you get $10 extra, but you'll need it anyway when you come to book packages. And it also gives me $10. Leave a comment if you did that and I can say thanks, and leave a comment anyway. What did you think of my tips? And yeah, if you're new here, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bonne soirée.